I worked 2 jobs, and one day as I was coming home early, I overheard her talking to our neighbor. He's pathetic, thinking working extra hours makes him a real man. I'm just glad I don't have to fake attraction to him anymore, she said. The neighbor laughed. Girl, you can do so much better, she smirked. Trust me, I already am. I felt my blood boil and quietly set down the anniversary dinner I'd brought and walked out. Yesterday she started calling non-stop. Listen guys, I never thought I'd be one of those people posting their relationship breakdown on Reddit. But here I am, sitting in some cheap motel room at 2:37 a.m., trying to process what just happened. 7 years of marriage, gone in 40. Some background. I've been working my ass off for the past few months. Day shift at a factory from 6 to 3, night shift at a warehouse from 6 to midnight, and 5 hours of sleep before doing it all again. We've been saving for a house, and Jenna's been working on her small business, which hasn't turned a profit yet, but supposedly is about to take off. I believed in her. I believed in us. Today was our 7th anniversary. I swapped shifts so I could surprise her and be home by 5 instead of midnight. I stopped by this fancy steakhouse that cost me $300 for the whole meal, but it was our anniversary. Got her favorite wine, those chocolate lava cakes she loves, and actual flowers from a florist instead of the usual grocery store ones. I was putting in the effort. I pulled up to our apartment complex at 4:45 and noticed our neighbor, Luke's car parked in the guest spot. Nothing strange, he lives across the hall and sometimes helps Jenna with heavy stuff when I'm at work. A good guy, we've shared beers together. Just a normal dude. As I walked up the stairs to our 3rd-floor apartment, balancing the food and flowers, I overheard them through the door. It was cracked just enough for me to hear everything. That's when I heard it. Jenna's voice, clear as day. He's pathetic, thinking extra hours make him a real man. I'm just glad I don't have to pretend I'm attracted to him anymore. I froze, literally couldn't move. Then Luke laughed and said, Jenna could do so much better. And that's when she said, trust me, I already am, with this smug, satisfied tone as if she was proud of herself. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, but in reality it was only about 20 seconds. Part of me wanted to kick the door open and scream. Another part of me wanted to collapse and cry right there in the hallway. What I actually did was quietly push the door open, set the anniversary dinner on the counter, place the flowers beside it, and walked out. They didn't even notice me. They were in the living room, sitting way too close on the couch, not doing anything but just sitting there. Her hand was on his arm and she was looking at him the way she used to look at me. Here's the thing about anger. It can make you cold. I didn't say a word. I didn't slam the door. I just pulled it shut and walked back to my car. I drove around for hours, my phone blowing up the whole time. I'm guessing she found the food and realized what had happened. By 8 p.m. I had 47 missed calls. I finally turned my phone off. For the past 7 years, I've been working my ass off to build a life with someone who thinks I'm a joke. My brother Eric warned me about her. He said she was high maintenance, but I didn't listen. I've been sleeping 4 hours a night for months to afford a house, while she's been laughing at me with the neighbor. After driving aimlessly for hours, I ended up at this motel. I'm 28 years old, sitting in a room that charges by the hour because I can't go home. $34 a night, by the way. I'm counting every penny now because I have no idea what comes next. I turned my phone back on around midnight. 26 more missed calls from Jenna. 8 voicemails. I can't bring myself to listen to them. 3 texts from Eric asking if we're still playing basketball this weekend. How is real life still happening when my entire world just collapsed? My best friend Chris texted asking why Jenna called him frantically asking if he'd seen me. I sent back at a motel, marriage over, tell you tomorrow. He replied with holy dude, and offered me his couch. I might take him up on that tomorrow. Can't stay in this roach motel forever. I keep thinking about the look on her face when she said, trust me, I already am, like she was proud of betraying me. 7 years together and I never knew she could be so cold. The worst part is, we have all our money in joint accounts. Everything I've worked so hard for. Tomorrow I need to figure out how to untangle our finances, before she empties everything. Should I call in sick to both jobs? I've never missed a day at either one. How do I even start dealing with this? I found her credit card statement in our shared cloud last week. $300 spent at a lingerie shop. I thought it was for our anniversary, but I bet it wasn't for me. I bet Luke's enjoying it. Looking back, there were signs: her business meetings running late, new clothes, always texting and putting her phone face down when I walked in. Classic stuff I was too tired to notice because I was working myself to death to build our future. It's almost 3 hours. In 4 hours I'm supposed to be at work like nothing happened. Like my entire life didn't just get torched. How am I supposed to operate heavy machinery when I can barely remember how to breathe? I keep flipping between wanting to scream at her and never wanting to see her face again. Part of me wants to forgive everything, and part of me wants to make her life crash and burn, just like mine did. I've spent years working my ass off for someone who thinks I'm pathetic. Now I'm about to show her what a pathetic man with nothing left to lose can really do. Tomorrow I start with the bank accounts, then I call a lawyer, then I figure out exactly how long she's been with Luke. Then I don't know, but she's going to learn that those extra hours didn't just make me tired, they made me and they taught me that I can endure a lot more pain than she thinks I can. Update tomorrow after I figure out next steps. I need advice on protecting myself financially. Anyone been through something similar? What's the first Update 1. First, a huge thanks to everyone who commented on my original post. Your advice probably saved me from making some serious mistakes in those first critical days. For those just joining the story, 2 weeks ago, I came home early from my second job with an anniversary dinner and overheard my wife Jenna telling our neighbor Luke that I was pathetic for working extra hours, and that she was glad she didn't have to pretend to be attracted to me anymore. Then she admitted to already cheating. I left, checked into a motel and went silent. Now for the update. It's been 16 days of complete radio silence, from my end. 16 days of living on Chris's couch, and 16 days of Jenna absolutely losing her mind trying to find me. And bros, I'm not going to lie, there's a dark satisfaction in watching someone who betrayed you suddenly realize they've lost control of the situation. First thing, I did what I had to do after posting here. The first thing was to call in sick to both jobs for the first time ever. Then I headed straight to the bank when they opened at 9 a.m. I transferred half of our joint savings, $14,000, into a new account at a different bank. I left enough to cover bills for the month, because despite everything, I wasn't going to let the utilities get shut off or miss The bank teller gave me a concerned look when I explained that I needed to separate our finances immediately. I must have looked like hell, no sleep and still in shock. Here's the thing about getting financially untangled. It's like pulling out a splinter that's been under your skin for years, painful but necessary. I redirected my direct deposits, ordered a new credit card, froze our joint account and changed all my passwords. I removed her as an authorized user on everything. The whole process took about 3 hours, and it felt like removing a tumor. By noon on that first day I had 64 missed calls from Jenna. I didn't listen to a single voicemail. Instead I texted back with a single message. I heard everything. Don't contact me again. Then I muted her number. Cold? Maybe, but it wasn't nearly as cold as what she did. Day 2 I met with a lawyer, $400 for the consultation, but worth every penny. He walked me through the divorce process, advised me on what evidence to gather, and helped me understand what a fair settlement might look like. Apparently in our state adultery can impact alimony consideration. The lawyer told me to document everything and communicate only through text or email from now on. Paper trail is king. Meanwhile Jenna was starting to panic. She called my brother Eric, my parents, every mutual friend we had. Her version of events was that I disappeared after a misunderstanding, and she was worried sick. Eric, bless him, simply told her I was safe and taking time to process things. My parents were less diplomatic. My mom told Jenna she always knew she wasn't good enough for me. My dad just hung up on her. They'd never liked her, and it turns out their instincts were spot on. Day 5 Jenna showed up at my workplace. I was on break when the receptionist called and said my wife was in the lobby crying and making a scene. I told them I was dealing with a personal issue and couldn't see her. Security actually had to ask her to leave. Not my proudest moment, watching my soon-to-be ex being escorted out from behind the break room blinds, but I felt nothing. Just empty. James has been a legend through all this. His place is small, a one-bedroom apartment with a lumpy couch, but he hasn't complained once about me crashing there. He even helped me document the whole situation, taking screenshots of Jenna's increasingly desperate texts, and saving the voicemails I still can't bring myself to listen to. Late at night when I can't sleep we play that stupid racing game on his console until my eyes get heavy. Simple distractions help keep me sane. Week 2 I decided to stop being completely passive. I started subtly letting our mutual friends know what happened. Nothing dramatic, just honest answers when they asked why I wasn't at home. She told Luke I was pathetic. She's been cheating, I'm taking some space. The ripple effect was immediate. People started treating Jenna differently. No more likes on her photos. Invitations to gatherings mysteriously stopped. Her business partner Simon, who's been my friend since college, suddenly needed to reevaluate their collaboration. I didn't tell people to choose sides, but they did anyway. That's the thing about small social circles. News travels fast, and people form their own opinions. And apparently the opinion is that cheating on your husband while he works 2 jobs to support your dreams is pretty shitty behavior. On day 10 I did something I'm not entirely proud of but don't regret either. I walked into the store where Luke works and confronted him. Not a big scene, just approached him when no customers were around and calmly told him I knew everything. I had spoken to a lawyer and was gathering evidence for divorce proceedings. His face went white. He started stammering about how it wasn't what I thought and that they were just friends. I just smiled and walked out. His panicked text to Jenna started minutes later. According to James' friend, who works with her and saw her phone blowing up, the most satisfying part so far has been finding out from mutual friends that Luke has apparently reconsidered their relationship now that there might be actual consequence. Turns out he's not interested in a girlfriend who comes with divorce drama and no access to her husband's second income. Who could have predicted that the guy willing to sleep with his neighbor's wife might not be relationship material? Shocking. Day 13, I went back to our apartment while I knew Jenna would be at her weekly yoga class. I put up small cameras in the common areas of the apartment. Totally legal, since I'm still on the lease. Nothing in the bedroom or bathroom. Obviously I'm not just needed documentation of who comes and goes, and any potential property damage or removal. The place was a mess. Takeout containers everywhere. Clothes piled up. The flowers I'd left had dried up in their vase. Brown petals scattered across the counter like dead butterflies. I found some interesting paperwork too. Turns out Jenna's business is $32,000 in debt. She's been hiding the financial reality from me for months, while I worked myself to exhaustion to support her dreams. I took photos of everything. More ammunition for the lawyer. Yesterday. Day 15, I finally answered one of her calls. She sounded terrible voice. Raw from crying, words tumbling out in a desperate jumble. She begged for a chance to explain, said she'd do anything to fix things. Swore the thing with Luke was a mistake and meant nothing. I listened silently for 4 minutes and 14 seconds. I timed it, then calmly asked if she would be willing to meet for dinner tomorrow to talk. She agreed so fast it was almost sad. So tomorrow night, after 16 days of silence, I'm going home. Jenna thinks we're having a reconciliation dinner. What she doesn't know is that I've invited her parents, my parents, and our closest friends. I've prepared a presentation with screenshots, financial records, and selected highlights from those cameras I installed. The dinner reservation she thinks I've made doesn't exist. Instead, she'll walk into a room full of people ready to hear exactly what kind of person she really is. James says it's too harsh. Eric thinks it's not harsh enough. I think it's exactly what she deserves. The same public humiliation she was so comfortable inflicting on me behind my back. I keep thinking about something my grandfather used to say. The worst pain isn't having your heart broken. It's realizing you never really knew the person who broke it. 16 days ago I thought I knew who my wife was. Tomorrow she'll find out who I've become. I'll update after the reckoning. Wish me luck, bros. For those just joining, quick recap. Caught wife Jenna trash talking me to neighbor Luke, who she was cheating with. Disappeared for 16 days, then planned a confrontation dinner where she thought we were reconciling. So about that dinner, I'd spent days planning it right down to the playlist that would be streaming through the apartment speakers. Had everything timed perfectly. Her parents arriving at 6:15. My parents at 6. Jenna was supposed to arrive at 7 hours, thinking it was just the two of us having a heart-to-heart. James helped me set up a simple slideshow on the TV, and I had printouts of bank statements, credit card bills, and screenshots ready to go. Except that's not what happened. At 5:45, 15 minutes before anyone was supposed to show up, my phone buzzed. Text from Jenna, "I'm coming over now, can't wait another minute." Great. I was still in the bathroom getting ready when I heard her key in the lock. Panicked, I texted everyone to hurry up, but knew they wouldn't arrive in time. This was going to be just me and her for at least 20 minutes. Not what I planned. Not what I mentally prepared for. Here's the thing about facing someone who betrayed you. No matter how ready you think you are, you're not. When I walked out of the bathroom, and saw her standing there in this blue dress, the one I'd bought her for her birthday last year, holding a bottle of wine and with actual tears in her eyes, something inside me faltered for a second. 7 years of memories don't just disappear overnight. Then she said the most Jenna thing ever. She'd brought the wine because she was certain I wouldn't have anything decent in the house. Even during her fake apology, I sat there, watching her perform her sorry act, trying to play the victim while taking shots at me. Just like that, my resolve snapped back into place. The next 20 minutes were surreal. She went through this whole monologue, crying and apologizing, saying the affair with Luke meant nothing, that it only happened twice and she was just feeling neglected. Blah blah blah. I didn't say a word. I just sat there on the couch, staring at her. Her monologue became more desperate by the minute. She kept trying to touch my arm, my hand, but I kept pulling away. At 6:17 the doorbell rang. The look on her face when her parents walked in was priceless. Pure confusion, then alarm. Her dad, Anthony Lynn, had always been cool, but her mom, Lynn, had always been a piece of work. She thought her daughter could do better than me. Well, Lynn was about to have her worldview rocked. By 6:32 everyone had arrived, 9 people crammed into our small living room, all wearing uncomfortable expressions like they were at a funeral, which in a way they were. The funeral of my marriage. I stood up and thanked everyone for coming, explaining that Jenna and I were having some communication issues, and thought it would be best to resolve them with the support of loved ones. Jenna was frozen on the couch, shooting daggers at me with her eyes. Then I started the slideshow. First slide. Screenshot of our bank account showing my regular deposits from 2 jobs for the past 4 months. Second slide, her secret credit card statements showing charges at hotels on days she claimed to be working late. Third slide, screenshots of text exchanges between her and Luke going back 3 months. Fourth slide, a clip from my hidden camera showing Luke entering our apartment at 2:13 p.m. on a Tuesday while I was at work. The room was dead silent, except for Jenna's mom, Lynn, making this weird gasping sound. Then I played the audio, just a 10-second clip of what I'd overheard that night. Her calling me pathetic, saying she was glad she didn't have to pretend to be attracted to me, and confirming she was already cheating. Jenna tried to claim the recording was fake, edited and taken out of context. Her dad just stood up, looked at her with the saddest expression I've ever seen, and walked out. Her mom followed, but not before telling Jenna that she'd raised her better than this. My own parents sat stone-faced through the whole thing. My mom was clutching my dad's hand so hard her knuckles were white. Then came the financial bombshell. I revealed to everyone that Jenna's business was $32,000 in debt, and that while I'd been working 16-hour days to support her dreams, she had been hemorrhaging money on a failing venture and hiding it from her business partner, who had been a bridesmaid at our wedding. I didn't even know how bad it was. Jem, who'd been silently supporting me from the corner, finally spoke up and confirmed that he'd helped me gather all this evidence, and that none of it was manipulated or exaggerated. That's when Jenna finally broke down completely. Through ugly sobs, she admitted everything. The affair had been going on for 5 months. She'd been thinking of leaving me anyway. The business was failing, and she'd been too ashamed to tell me. One by one, our friends made awkward excuses and left. My parents hugged me, told me they'd call tomorrow, and headed out. Eventually it was just me, Jenna and Jane. Jenna begged for another chance. She said we could go to counseling, that she'd cut off all contact with Luke. I just handed her the divorce papers my lawyer had prepared, and told her she had 48 hours to find somewhere else to stay. The next few weeks were a blur of logistics and paperwork. Since our lease was up in 2 months anyway, I let her stay with her parents while I kept the apartment. I filed for divorce, citing adultery with the evidence attached. Because I had documentation of her hiding debt and the affair, my lawyer was able to negotiate favorable terms. I wouldn't have to pay any alimony. We'd each keep our own debt. The judge actually commended me on my restraint, given the circumstances. Financially, the split was brutal but fair. I kept my personal savings. She kept her failing business. I helped her move her stuff out on a rainy Sunday while her mom supervised to make sure we didn't fight. It was just sad. Honestly, 7 years reduced to labeled boxes and trash bags. The aftermath was both better and worse than I expected. Better because friends and family rallied around me in ways I never anticipated. Eric's wife, Luna, invited me for dinner twice a week, so I wouldn't just eat frozen burritos alone. Eric introduced me to his gym buddy, who helped me channel my anger into weights instead of self-destruction. My boss gave me some slack when my productivity inevitably dipped. Worse because grief doesn't follow a straight line. Some days I'd be fine, focused on rebuilding. Other days I'd find one of her hair ties under the couch and have to sit down and stare at the wall for an hour. The nights were the hardest. Lying awake, scrolling Reddit at 3, second-guessing every year of my marriage, wondering if any of it had been real. As for Jenna, Her carefully curated social media facade crumbled pretty quickly. Without my second income supporting her, she had to move in with her parents at 32 years. Her business officially folded 8 weeks after our split. According to mutual friends, Luke blocked her number after she kept showing up at his place, drunk, begging for them to make it official. Classic Luke, happy to sleep with someone else's wife, but not interested in dealing with the actual mess he helped create. 3 months post-divorce, I got promoted at my main job, which meant I could finally quit the second one. My sleep schedule is still all kinds of messed up, but I'm working. I deleted all the dating apps I impulsively downloaded right after the divorce. I'm not ready for that yet. Some wounds need more than a Tinder match to heal. 5 months in, I ran into Jenna at the grocery store. It was awkward. She looked terrible. I probably didn't look much better. We did that weird dance of pretending not to see each other until we ended up in the Sam Lou Key checkout line. She asked how I was doing. I said fine. She said she was seeing a therapist. I said good for her. Then we both stood there in excruciating silence, until it was my turn to pay. Some closure, right? Last week, 6 months since everything imploded, I finally moved out of that apartment with all its ghosts and echoes. I found a smaller place closer to work. Eric and Jem helped me move. We drank beers on my new balcony after, and for the first time in half a year, I felt something like peace. So what's the moral of this sad story? Maybe it's that sometimes the person you trust the most is the one you should trust the least. That revenge feels good, but healing feels bad. That working 2 jobs to support someone else's dreams is a sucker's game. Maybe all of the above. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it's just that life goes on, even when you think it can't possibly continue. The world keeps spinning, the bills keep coming, the sun rises, whether you're happily married, newly divorced, or somewhere in between. I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago, more cynical, sure, but also more self-aware. I know what I'm worth now, I know what I won't tolerate, and I know that working myself to death for someone else's approval is a one-way ticket to exactly where I was: exhausted, betrayed, and sitting in a motel room wondering what the hell happened to my life. Thanks for coming along on this journey with me. Your advice, support, and occasional harsh truths helped me navigate the darkest months of my life. Not sure if I'll update again, hoping this chapter is finally closed. If this story hit you right in the gut like it did me, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful real-life drama that reminds us how strong we really are when everything falls apart. Every week we share stories of betrayal, resilience, and ultimate redemption. Your support helps us keep telling the truth behind the heartbreak. If you were in his shoes, would you have walked away quietly like he did, or confronted them on the spot? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading every single one.